Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's do another little travel video tonight. I had a topic request from my last travel video when I talked about going to Jordan, and someone wanted to know about what my trip in Israel was like. So let's talk about Israel. I did the Middle East all in one trip. I went for 2 months. I did Israel, Egypt, and Jordan. Spent about 3 weeks in each country. Started off in Israel. Flew from New York to Israel. It's an amazingly long plane ride. I don't think I'd ever taken a plane ride that long before. I had flown to Europe, but this is further. I got sick on the plane ride over. I thought Israel would be a good trip. I mean, the main point of the trip was to go see the party at the pyramids in Egypt, and I have a separate video about that experience, and it was rather wild. You can go check out that video on my channel about the Egypt portion of the trip. But I was leading up to this vacation, I was kind of going through a spiritual journey just in my own life. The very beginnings, I was starting to get into spirituality and religion. And I do think they're the same but separate, because you could include Zen Buddhism and Taoism and certain philosophies into the spirituality category, whereas they may not necessarily be classified as religions. At least you could debate whether Taoism is a religion or not. So I was going through a lot of this stuff just in general, reading all kinds of stuff about it, exploring different faiths just for knowledge, not really looking to join, but just to absorb as much as I can. So I read the Quran, the Torah, and the Bible from cover to cover before I went on this trip. Watched every documentary, studied all kinds of stuff. So I really felt like going to Israel and seeing all this stuff in person was going to be a good addition to this spiritual journey that I was on. So we get over there. I get sick on the fucking plane ride. As soon as we land, I started to feel a little better. I had some travel companions. It's good to travel with other people, and they had been to Israel before, and they told me when you get to Israel, they're going to go through customs, and customs might be a little bit more than what you're used to. I had been to Amsterdam before, and I had been to Africa before on safari. I went on safari for 6 weeks, 2 months. Went to Kenya and Tanzania. So I've been to other countries. I know what going through passports and all that bullshit's like. But with Israel, it's a little different. They have a little interrogation. They ask you a bunch of questions. They search your luggage or all that kind of stuff like normal, but they ask you questions. And we go up to a desk. It was rather interesting. We go up to a desk, we give our paperwork, whatever it is, passports, all that bullshit. I don't really remember. And then they sit us down, and we're just sitting down in the airport in these chairs. This is before they let us into Tel Aviv. We're just stuck at the airport right now. So then these Israeli police come in. They come out of a hallway, and they get us one by one, bring us down the hallway, and put us in rooms. They put me in a room by myself, and 2 Israeli police come in, a chick and a dude. The dude sits there with the clipboard. The chick asked me some questions. Why did you come to Israel? That kind of thing. What are you doing here? What kind of things do you want to see? And she ran through some various questions. I was told by my friends that you should not try to interject any outside information or try to talk politics or bring up anything like the Palestinian issue. That's not a good time to start talking about your politics. Just answer their questions and keep your mouth shut, because you could ruin it. If you possibly said the wrong thing, they could just say, well, sorry, we don't want you in the country. And then what? Then you're screwed. So I was nervous with that kind of warning. I'd never been through this before. We get through all the questions, and she asks me, one of the last questions was, would you like to move to Israel, and would you ever consider moving here? And I quickly responded, probably a little too sharply, but I responded just honestly, no way. Because in my head, I just thought it was a ridiculous question. I'm moving to Israel? I'm on vacation. I'm from LA. At least that's, at the time, that's where I was living. And I was very happy living down in the barrio. I'm not trying to move to Israel. So I just blew that off. Ha, no. And she kind of was taken aback by that. And the dude was writing on his little clipboard, and I was just like, oh, fuck. Did I just screw up? Should I have said, yeah, I want to move here? I thought I was supposed to answer honestly. It's really no big deal. But it was kind of an awkward pause in this weird moment. I didn't really know what's going on. We start off in Tel Aviv. Tel Aviv's a big city. Tel Aviv reminded me of Los Angeles in a way, and in New York in some ways. High-rise buildings and young people driving around in their cars with loud music, just like anywhere else. And a lot of Western culture. I saw a reggae show at a little club, more of a bar, I guess. But it was a good music. International food. I went and got Chinese food at a restaurant, just like any other Chinese place. We stayed at a very nice hotel. One of the most, I forget the name of it, but we were told it's one of the most luxurious hotels in Tel Aviv. It's a block off of the ocean. I spent a lot of time there. We were in Tel Aviv for 6 days, just kind of enjoying things. Spent a lot of time down at the beach. Beautiful. And then we drive, and get a car and drive to Jerusalem. And we're going to spend the next 2 weeks in Jerusalem seeing the sights. We got a guide for Jerusalem, and I suggest getting a guide for Jerusalem because they really can help you to enjoy the attractions more. There's lots of tourist attractions, and you can wander around and find a lot of it on your own. Now with the internet, you could probably do a lot better, but back then, I think that having a guide helps. So we stayed at the King David Hotel. That was the best part about Jerusalem, was the hotel. The King David Hotel is the top-notch, 5-star luxury hotel. Emissaries from all over the world stay. The president, when he comes to Jerusalem, that's where the president stays. When I was there, who was it? Not Boris Yeltsin, Gorbachev. Gorbachev was upstairs. Had the whole floor. The Russians took over the floor above us. My room was out of control. The size of an apartment. The bathroom alone was amazing. The size of the fucking living room. The bathroom was great. Marble floors and glass and separate shower, giant shower with shower heads everywhere, and then a separate bath. It's cool when they're separated like that. Telephone in there next to the toilet. I didn't call anybody, but you could sit there and talk on the phone. The bed was giant, probably bigger than a California king. Big giant bed. You could just roll around on it. Great for 2 people, great for 10 people. They had buttons all along the wall, like next to the bed. You could be sitting in your bed with all your pillows and just push a button, the curtains open up, push another button, the light, you could dim the lights, push another button, turn the TV on, push another button, hookers come running in the room. And the buttons for everything. The King David Hotel was great. Way expensive. And that was our base of operations, and we just kind of went out for the day doing different shit. And we went to the old city, of course. We saw all the different, because I wanted to see stuff from different religions. So I did the main mosque, the most famous mosque, went there, prayed there. I went to the Wailing Wall, where the Jews go, prayed there. The funny thing about that is I go to the wall, and they got it sectioned off. And they got these guards out front. And the guys go on one section, the chicks go on the other section. Women can't pray at the wall. It's the same wall, but you can't pray next to a woman at the wall. A woman can't go next to the men. It's just the way it goes. Well, a chick tries to sneak in. It looked like she was trying to be sneaky. It didn't look like she was just wandering in like she didn't know. And these military motherfuckers grabbed her and manhandled her. They didn't toss her on the ground or anything, but they grabbed her and threw her out of that section. And the one guy yells at her in Hebrew or whatever they say, whatever they speak. And that, you have to go over that section. And she was terrified. I mean, they were ready to fuck her up. She was not allowed to pray on that section. That kind of gave me a giggle. And I went and prayed at the Wailing Wall. Went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, the most holy spot for Christians. We have the empty tomb of Christ, and I went there and prayed there too. The funny thing about the empty tomb of Christ, it says, the sign says, empty tomb. That motherfucker is not in there. It's empty. The sign says it's empty, right? It's full of people trying to get like their hand on this thing, a glimpse, and it's like, it's empty, bro. I mean, he's not in there. I'm not trying to dog nobody, I just thought it was funny. Outside of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, they had it was like a gift shop or something. I didn't go in there, but they do tours that they start there or end there. They have a tour group there, and they have the tour group, they drag crosses, and that's the thing. And there's like a group of people all dragging a cross like Jesus would, and I assume you could drag it along the route that Jesus dragged it. But the crosses, and they're big, but the crosses have skateboard wheels on the bottom of them. So you don't really have to suffer. It's not a labor. You're not really suffering like Jesus did. Maybe Jesus had the skateboard wheels too. I don't know. I have to go back and read that part of the Bible. We drove through the Palestinian section of Jerusalem, which I thought was interesting. I wanted to go to a lot of the different Palestinian sections. They won't let you in there's some Palestinian sections where they got these motherfuckers caged in. You can't get in there, military stops you. But we drove all over the country of Israel, to the Jordan border, and we drove all over. I liked the Palestinian sections, and I liked the Palestinian people. And there is a difference between the Palestinian section and the rest of Jerusalem. The only thing that took me back about the Palestinian section, which I can honestly say, and I don't want to offend anybody, but there is anti-Semitism over there, and you can say, well, you understand why? I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to get into politics, but there was graffiti that was all over the Palestinian section, and what I saw in at least 4 different locations, I think maybe possibly more, but in several locations, I saw swastikas spray painted on the walls. That kind of was surprising to me. And you don't see, there's graffiti all over Los Angeles, you don't see swastikas. There's graffiti all over many of the cities that I've lived in, and you don't see swastikas. So it was weird. And I pointed it out to the guide that I was with, and he's just like, what are you gonna do? It is what it is, welcome to Israel. Bombs can start dropping on us at any second. So that's a reality. All in all, I really enjoyed the trip. It was educational. I do wish that I could go back again, simply because I'm wiser now and I know more about the history behind a lot of the religion, different religions. I've studied a lot more. I'm a lot older. So I think I would get more out of the historical pilgrimage. When we were leaving Israel, going to Egypt, and we're leaving Israel, we're going to Egypt for the rest of the trip. We're going to be in Egypt and then in Jordan, 3 weeks in Egypt and then 3 weeks in Jordan. Israel's done. I was thinking about that chick at the interrogation room, that chick cop that was interrogating me, and her question about would I ever live in Israel, and how quick I was to denounce it. And I was thinking about this as I was leaving at the question, and I was like, I'd probably answer it different. It's only been 2.5, 3 weeks, but I'd answer it different. I would live in Israel. Absolutely I would. But it wouldn't be because of the spots and the sights and all that shit. It would just be because of the people. The people were really cool. Some of the most beautiful women in the world. That's my trip to Israel. Thanks for watching.